Say welcome. Welcome to our TechSphere Podcast to talk about Siri. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share with friends.
Sounds good.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of Apple's voice assistant, Siri. We're going straight to the source, Apple's own descriptions of what Siri is and how it works.
You know, it's interesting how we've come to rely on these digital assistants. Remember when we thought it was futuristic just to send a text message?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. But you're right. Using our voices to get things done is becoming second nature. So let's break it down. What exactly is Siri?
Siri is Apple's voice-activated digital assistant. It's designed to be with you across your Apple devices, whether you're on your iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, even in your car with CarPlay.
And now they're bringing Siri to their new Apple Vision Pro headset. That's a whole other level of hands-free interaction.
Yeah, and what's impressive is how they've made Siri accessible in so many ways. You can say, "Hey Siri," or just Siri. You can use the button on your CarPlay steering wheel or even activate Siri hands-free while you're working out.
It's like they've anticipated every possible scenario. So we've established Siri's there when you need it.
Yeah.
But what can Siri actually do? Apple is highlighting this new Apple Intelligence behind Siri.
Oh, that's where things get really exciting. Apple Intelligence takes Siri beyond simple commands. It's about understanding your habits, anticipating your needs, and making Siri feel more like a partner than just a tool.
Okay, but how does that actually work in practice?
Okay, so imagine this. You're getting ready for work and ask Siri to play your favorite podcast. Later, you're in the car and ask Siri for directions to the office. With Apple Intelligence, Siri will remember you were listening to that podcast and automatically resume it for you in the car. It's all about making those transitions between devices and tasks completely seamless.
Oh, that's super convenient.
Yeah.
But what about those times when you have multiple requests in a row? Do you have to say, "Hey Siri," every single time?
Well, actually, Apple has addressed that. They're introducing back-to-back requests. So let's say you're cooking dinner. You can say, "Hey Siri, set a timer for 20 minutes, and then follow up with, and play some relaxing music without having to repeat, "Hey Siri." It's like having a natural conversation with your assistant.
That makes sense. Apple's also emphasizing Siri's personalization. But how do they do that without compromising user privacy, which they're also very vocal about?
That's where it gets really clever. A lot of Siri's processing actually happens right on your device thanks to something called the Apple Neural Engine. This means your data isn't being sent to the cloud for analysis, which helps protect your privacy.
So Siri can learn my preferences and habits without my information ever leaving my device.
Exactly. It's a game changer for privacy-conscious users. Apple is essentially putting the power of artificial intelligence directly in your hands without the traditional privacy trade-offs.
Okay, now I'm starting to see how Apple Intelligence sets Siri apart. But let's get specific. What are some real-world examples of how people are using Siri? Apple seems to have a vision of Siri fitting into all these different aspects of our lives.
They do. They've outlined several scenarios where Siri shines. Let's start with on the go. Imagine you're rushing to a meeting and realize you're going to be late. You can simply say, "Hey Siri, text Sarah, I'm running 10 minutes behind." No need to fumble with your phone while you're walking or driving. Siri takes care of it for you.
It's like having a personal assistant who's always ready to help. What about those times when you're driving?
Siri's integration with CarPlay is fantastic. You can keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road while using Siri to make calls, get directions, send messages, even control your music.
Speaking of music, I'm curious about how Siri handles those working out scenarios Apple mentions.
Sure, so let's say you're on a run and want to hear something upbeat. You can simply say, "Hey Siri, play my running playlist," and thanks to Apple Intelligence, Siri will already know which playlist that is based on your listening habits.
So Siri can not only choose the music, but actually learn my preferences for different types of workouts.
That's right. It can also adjust the volume automatically based on your environment. If you're running outside with traffic noise, Siri can bump up the volume. If you're at the gym, it can lower it to be more considerate of those around you.
It's all about creating a seamless and personalized experience. What about those times when you're at home?
Well, Apple highlights a scenario called in the kitchen. Imagine you're baking and need to convert measurements. Instead of getting flour all over your phone, you can simply say, "Hey Siri, how many tablespoons are in a cup?"
So Siri's like a hands-free cooking companion.
Exactly. And if you have a HomePod, you can use Siri to control your smart home devices. For example, you can say, "Hey Siri, turn on the kitchen lights," or "set the oven to 350 degrees.
This is where things start to feel really futuristic. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It is pretty amazing, and Apple is making it clear that all of this convenience doesn't come at the expense of your privacy.
Okay, let's dig into that a bit more. How does Apple ensure that Siri is protecting our data?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the processing happens on your device itself. But Apple also emphasizes that your requests are not linked to your Apple account.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
So even though Siri is learning my habits and preferences, that information isn't being tied back to my personal Apple ID.
That's right. And Apple is adamant that they don't use the information you share with Siri for advertising purposes.
Okay, so Apple's making some big promises about privacy. But let's be honest, Siri can do so much that it can be a bit overwhelming.
You're not wrong. Where do we even begin to explore all those capabilities?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely dig into in our next deep dive.
So many capabilities. It really is overwhelming. Where do we even start?
Well, maybe we can group them into some categories to make it easier to think about.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We could start with communication. Siri has become like an extension of our voice, streamlining how we connect with others.
Okay, so how does that work? How does Siri help us communicate?
Well, think about it. We call people, we text, we FaceTime. Siri can handle all of that hands-free. Need to call your boss back. Siri, call Elena Jones. Simple as that.
Much easier than digging through my purse. What about keeping in touch with family and friends?
Let's say you're out walking the dog and you remember you need to send your brother that funny video. Hey Siri, send this video to Ben. Done. You can even dictate entire messages to Siri.
So Siri isn't just making calls and sending texts, but also helping us share things with others. That's cool. What else can Siri do with communication?
You can share your location with a contact, tell them your ETA, manage your voicemails, even announce calls through your HomePod. It's about being connected no matter where you are.
Okay, communication is a big one. What about information? We talked about Siri being a know-it-all earlier.
Right, the knowledge category. That's where Siri shines as your on-demand source of information. Definitions, translations, stock updates, just ask.
So it's like having a walking, talking encyclopedia in my pocket. I can see how that would be helpful.
Exactly. Imagine you're in another country and can't understand the menu. Hey Siri, what does this mean? Boom, instant translation.
No more food mistakes. I love it. What about things like the weather or the stock market?
No problem. Hey Siri, what's the weather going to be like this weekend? What's Apple stock doing? It's all about getting the information you need when you need it. And hands-free.
So we've got communication and knowledge covered.
Yeah.
But what about all these smart homes we have now?
Right. Smart home control. This is where it starts to feel like the future. Imagine, hey Siri, good morning. And Siri adjusts the lights, starts the coffee maker, warms up the house.
Now that's a smart home, but can Siri really work with all these different devices and platforms?
Well, Apple has HomeKit. It's a framework for connecting and controlling your smart home devices, and Siri acts as the voice interface. So any device that's compatible with HomeKit can be controlled through Siri.
So all the things, lights, thermostat, even my security system.
Exactly. And it's not just on and off. You can set up scenes like movie night where Siri dims the lights and turns on the Apple TV, or bedtime. Siri turns off the lights, locks the doors, plays some calming music.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
But it's not always about our homes, right? Sometimes we just need help with everyday life.
Oh, you're talking about everyday tasks. Siri can be your personal assistant. Think reminders, calendars, to-do lists, all that stuff that takes up time.
Less stress already. How can Siri help with all that?
Let's say you're in a meeting and you remember, oh, I need milk. Just whisper, hey Siri, add milk to the shopping list.
No more forgetting things. What about appointments and all that?
Siri can schedule meetings. Siri, schedule a meeting with James tomorrow at 10 a.m. Add reminders. Siri, remind me to call the vet on Friday. Siri can keep your life organized.
Siri, remind me to give Siri a raise. Okay, but really, Siri is a lifesaver. What about when you can't find your phone or your keys? Happens to me all the time.
Remember, find my, hey Siri, where's my phone? Or if you have those AirTags, you can use Siri to find your keys, your wallet, anything.
That is a lifesaver. So Siri can help us communicate, access information, control our homes, and organize our lives. What's next?
How about getting around? Navigation is another area where Siri excels. Lost in a new city. Siri, find coffee near me, and boom, there's a map and directions all ready to go.
It's like having my own personal GPS. What about driving?
CarPlay and Siri are a great team. Siri, navigate to the airport. Find the fastest route home. Siri takes traffic into account and gives you turn-by-turn directions. You can even ask Siri to find gas stations or rest stops along the way.
Like a co-pilot who knows the way. So we can get where we need to go with Siri. But what about fun?
You're talking about entertainment. That's where Siri can really shine, hosting a party. Hey Siri, play some party music. Siri picks the perfect tunes. No need to spend hours searching yourself.
Much better. But what if I want something specific, a certain genre or artist?
You got it. Play some jazz, play the latest Taylor Swift. And if you hear a song you like but don't know the name, hey Siri, what song is this? Siri will use Shazam to identify it.
It's like having a personal DJ. What about podcasts or movies?
All yours. Play my favorite podcast. Find that episode about. Siri can control the playback speed, too. And movies. Hey, Siri, find everything everywhere all at once. Siri will find it for you on Apple TV, plus City, Netflix, whatever you use.
Amazing. Siri's a real entertainment expert. But before we get too carried away, we have one more category, sports.
Right. Siri keeps you updated on scores, schedules, player stats, all the important stuff.
So I can just ask, hey, Siri, what's the score of the Lakers game? And get live updates.
You got it. Hey Siri, who scored the most points for the Warriors? What's a Dodgers schedule this week? All right there.
It's like having a personal sports commentator. Siri does so much. From managing our lives to keeping us entertained and informed, it's incredible.
We've barely scratched the surface, but I think it's clear Siri's more than just a voice assistant. It's becoming part of how we live our lives.
Okay, we've covered a lot here, exploring all the things Siri can do. But I'm wondering about the big picture. How is this technology changing things for us as a society?
Good question. That's something to think about.
It really makes you think, right? About how this tech is changing things.
It does, yeah. On the one hand, voice assistants like Siri could make technology more inclusive. For people who might have trouble with traditional interfaces, like someone with limited mobility or an older adult, voice control opens up so many possibilities.
That's a good point. Makes tech more accessible for everyone.
Exactly. And think about education. Students could use Siri for instant translations while learning a new language, or to research a topic for school.
It could be like a personalized tutor, right? Adapting to each student. That's amazing. But are there any downsides? Some people worry about privacy, right?
Oh, absolutely. The more we use these devices, the more data they collect. Companies like Apple have to put user privacy first and be really clear about how our data is being used.
Speaking of data,
Yeah.
what about bias? All these systems are trained on huge data sets. Could those data sets reflect, societal biases?
That's a really important point. Developers need to be aware of that and work to avoid any bias in the data. It's a tough challenge, but it's crucial if we want these technologies to be fair for everyone.
There's also the question of human interaction. Are we becoming too reliant on these voices? Will we forget how to talk to each other?
That's a big question, yeah. And it's something people debate a lot. Some people worry about social isolation, but others say voice assistants could actually improve human connection.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. Siri could help with group conversations or translate languages in real time so people from different cultures could communicate more easily.
It's like using tech to bridge those communication gaps. But we still need that balance, right? We can't become so dependent on tech that we forget how to connect as humans.
Totally agree. It's about finding that balance where tech improves our lives, but doesn't replace human connection.
So we've covered a lot today about what Siri can do and how it fits into the bigger picture. Any final thoughts about Siri and its place in this tech world we live in?
I think Siri and voice assistants in general are changing how we interact with tech. They're making it easier and more intuitive to use. But we have to be aware of the potential downsides and use these tools responsibly.
It's a good reminder that we have a choice in how we use technology.
Exactly. We can choose to use it to improve our lives, connect with people in new ways, and make the world a better place. But we also need to be careful and use these tools wisely.
It's been a fascinating journey exploring Siri, from how we use it every day to its potential impact on the future.
Agreed. It's been great.
Thanks for tuning in to TechSphere. Please like, subscribe, and share with friends. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the world of technology.